For this small group, I'm going to focus on how to write a really strong lead and review some of the things that we already talked about in class, but maybe in a different way that'll make more sense to you. So I like to use the analogy of a bridge and thinking of your lead as a bridge that's going to go from your reader's life. Let's say your reader's life is on this side of the bridge, but the ideas of your essay are over here on this side of your bridge. So in order to get them from their own world where they're thinking about what they've got to do today and maybe what they got to get at the grocery store on their way home, you want to say, hey, hold on a second, let's take a break from your life. Let's come across over here. And I want to, for the next 7 minutes or so, however long it takes you to read my essay, I want to get you to think about some of these ideas I've got going on over here. So the lead is the bridge on how to get across. So with that analogy in mind, let's take a look at the first step of a good lead, and that's the hook. So if we're staying with our analogy of the bridge, the hook is really the first step onto that bridge. It's the closest part of your lead to your reader's regular life. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the lead I wrote for my essay on a stolen party. The first sentence, the first 2 sentences really of this lead are my hook. They're the closest ideas I'm going to write to regular real life that really doesn't necessarily have to do with my story just yet. When I say here, everyone knows what it's like to feel like they aren't good enough. Most of us have at some point tried to prove our worth and be accepted by a person or group. That right there is my hook. That's my first step onto my bridge because it is something everyone can relate to, and it's the closest thing really to my reader's regular real life. So let's look at the next part of my lead. Next part is a little bit further along on this bridge. This is where I'm just going to get into the book and the author of the book that I'm actually talking about. We need to let our reader know which text we're going to analyze and who wrote it so they can start to get their brains ready for what's coming. Let's see how I did that here. In The Stolen Party by Liliana Hecker, that's it. That's it. Really, that's the second part of my lead. Just identifying the title and the author. But it's really important. What I want you to do right now is push pause on this video and look at your own lead for your own essay. Right now, before we go any further, I want you to check, do you have a hook? Do you identify the title and the author? And I want you to double check, is your hook the first step onto the bridge away from your reader's life? Is it an idea that is really connecting the main point of your essay to your reader's life, something we can all relate to? Push pause and go check that. Okay, now that you're coming back and you're sure you've got those first 2 parts, let's take a look at the third ingredient in our lead. This is a little further along the bridge. It's about right here on the bridge. Now that we know what book we're talking about, we got to give our reader of our essay a little bit of context, a little bit of summary of what that book's about. But remember, we're just giving them enough detail to understand the essay. We're not summarizing the entire book. We can't. Let's look at how I did that in my example. I say, in The Stolen Party by Liliana Hecker, Rosara and her mother disagree about whether or not Rosara belongs at a party she was invited to by the wealthy family that employs Rosara's mom. Rosara is desperate to prove to her mother and herself that she has been invited as a guest like everyone else. Sadly, she has this belief stolen away from her when the hostess of the party, when the hostess offers to pay Rosara for her services at the end of the party. So this is where I'm providing some context and a summary of the story, and it really goes from about here to here. I think we're realizing visually that that's the longest section of my lead. And my lead, I've got 3 sentences providing context. And you'll notice that I was really focusing on the fact that it's a wealthy family. I'm focusing on this idea that she's desperate to prove that she's just like everybody else. And then I'm also focusing on this idea that that hope, that belief is stolen away from her and it doesn't work out for her. These are going to be really key ideas that come up in my theme claim at the end. So I've chosen the parts of my story to summarize that are most relevant to the whole point of my essay. Pause the video here, go back and look at your own lead, and double check the summary that you have provided. Make sure that it's enough, but not too much. And make sure you're focusing on the most relevant ideas to your theme. All right, now that you're coming back, we're going to take a look at this very last piece of our lead, and it's really the last step off of that bridge into the ideas, into the world of your essay. And it's your theme claim. This is where you're going to prepare them for the ideas that they're going to be thinking about for the remainder of your essay. You're going to tell them the whole point of your essay. So let's take a look at mine. In The Stolen Party, Hecker uses Rosara's experience to make the reader think about the inherent inequality of the social class system and how difficult it is to move up to a higher social class even when you are doing everything right. So right here, this is my theme claim. Crystal clear. There's no chance the reader of my essay is confused about what the rest of my piece is going to be about and what I'm going to spend my whole essay proving. Okay, and at the end, so you're going to go check your lead and make sure your theme claim is at the end of your lead and that it's stated in a crystal clear way like this. And hopefully this has helped you make sure that you've included the 4 main ingredients for a really strong lead. And you can pause this video, go back anytime to help you write. Good luck.